of the year. We're actually very, very excited to have you here. And I speak in name of the unconscious moderation team. Welcome. We are so happy and we applaud your purpose, your New Year purpose of starting Dry January, which we know it can be tough and it can be like it really can feel like a challenge, but it's also so rewarding. And by the end of this 30 days, you're gonna find something amazing. A lot of changes in your way of feeling and your way of handling your problems or living your day to day. So we applaud that and welcome to our community. So today we're going to talk about something that is very interesting and very in line with Dry January, and it's what your body goes through physically and mentally when you stop drinking for 30 days. It's a transformation timeline, so you know and you understand what's going on behind the scenes of this transformation, of this choice, of this New Year's resolution. So I always start with making this a little bit relatable. So picture that you are standing in your kitchen first week of January and you are standing in front of a half empty bottle of wine. And something inside you says, what if I didn't? What if I didn't drink? And maybe this question comes up because you've woken up foggy far too many times. Or maybe it's because you are tired of that Sunday anxiety that comes after a Saturday night out. Or maybe it's because you promised to yourself that you would make it this year, the resolution of staying healthy and changing your habits and maybe try and quit alcohol. But a lot of questions flood your brain, and it could be, what will actually happen if I stop? Would I feel worse before I feel better? Or how long until I notice a difference of this choice? And maybe is this even worth it? Questions like this and many more will come up, and here is what makes this moment, this questions and the pause before you drink so important. And this is that you're standing at the edge. You are standing at the edge of a transformation. You are standing at the edge of a beautiful healing process that you really can't quite see yet. And your body in this moment is ready to begin. And it's ready to begin a healing. It's ready to begin a healing in ways that you've never thought about and that will genuinely surprise you. So this first 30 days of changing your relationship with alcohol, it isn't just about willpower. It's not just about white knuckling your way through the 30 days. It is about a biological revolution that is going on inside you. It is your brain, it is your gut, and it can even mean your cardiovascular system and even your immune function. So this is so important because your body wants to heal, and you gotta start letting it do that. And it's been waiting for you to make the choice and to give it a chance to heal. And that's why that moment is crucial. And that's why today we are going to walk through what is happening exactly within your body when you make yourself a promise that you will not drink alcohol for 30 days. And this is not a promise of you'll feel better after 30 days. This is more about the actual measurable changes that are going on within your body, and that they come from the cellular level all throughout the different systems in your body to the psychology behind it. And we will explore the neuroscience of why the first few days it's so difficult and it feels so intense. And also the unbelievable and remarkable repair that your brain can do within a week of not drinking alcohol. And then the transformation that goes on day by day. And by the end of our time together, you will understand what your body's going through behind the scenes and why certain parts or certain phases of the process may feel harder. And most importantly, how to support yourself through this dry January. I think that's the most important thing, to know the symptoms and know the situations that may arise and then how to deal with those. And this isn't about shame. This is not about guilt. And from unconscious moderation, it will never be our standpoint. This is more about understanding the incredible power that your body has and the capacity of adapting that your body has. And this is also about learning how to work with that and not against it. So before we dive into the timeline and before we dive into how to support yourself through this 30-day session, it's very important to understand what alcohol has actually been doing to your body. So, and this is because understanding the situation in hand and or the problem can help you understand and appreciate the solution. So from a neurological standpoint, and here's the truth, alcohol isn't just a beverage. It is a powerful substance that fundamentally changes your brain chemistry. It's as simple as that. So when you drink alcohol, there are different effects that happen. And it can enhance the GABA, which is your brain's primary calm down neurotransmitter. So this is why alcohol feels like the tension melts away and the social anxiety quiets down. It just gives you a boost of that calm down feeling. And at the same time, alcohol suppresses the glutamate, which is your brain's primary wake-up neurotransmitter. So this is why you slur your words, or this is why reflexes are slow, or eventually why you pass out when you are about to fall asleep when you drink alcohol. So it's very contradictory. It would suppress the wake up and create more slowdown. So it's contradictory in a way. And here's where it gets very, very complicated. And it's that your brain is constantly trying to maintain a balance. And what the neuroscientists, this is what they call the homeostasis, which is when you regularly induce alcohol, a substance that pushes you towards sedation, your brain compensates by turning down the GABA receptors and turning up the glutamate receptors. So it throws your brain out of whack, out of balance, and it's like, to understand this, it's like living next to a construction site. At first, the noise is completely overwhelming, but over time, your brain adapts to that noise and it gets used to the noise, and it actually needs the noise to feel normal. So this is a neural adaptation, and this is why when you stop drinking, it feels that you don't return to baseline. You actually swing the opposite way and the opposite direction. So when someone says that the first few days are not of not drinking are hard, they are not exaggerating. It's something that really is important to know. They are describing a very real neurological crisis, which is without the alcohol's depressive effects, your brain suddenly has too much glutamate and not enough GABA. And it's like the construction suddenly stops. And now every normal sounds feels very defying. And this imbalance creates what a lot of doctors call or name as a nervous system, essentially in an overdrive. And let's think about that for a second. Your nervous system in an overdrive, because the baseline that you used to have is no longer there. And this is why people experience shakiness or tremors. They feel their heart racing, they start sweating a lot, and they feel anxiety and even insomnia in most of the cases. And this isn't about willpower. This is about your brain understanding and desperately trying to recalibrate what it has been externally recalibrated before. So it would be, you would need an external substance to calibrate. And when you take out that external substance, your brain is trying to figure out what's going on and what is needed right now. So research shows that with withdrawal, the symptoms starts to begin within 6 to 24 hours after your last drink. And they say that the most severe symptoms could last until 72 hours. And so understanding this is by the end of that first week, the most acute symptoms will significantly decrease. But that first week can feel like a lot. And it's important for you to know that it may feel like a lot. So, and it's important that you understand that there's another layer to it, which is when you use alcohol constantly, it doesn't just affect your neurotransmitters, it actually disrupts your body's stress response. So what this means, and it actually creates a paradox, is people often drink to reduce stress, but an alcohol can temporarily lower that anxiety and that stress. But alcohol itself is a stressor. So it activates a lot of triggers within your brain, and it releases a lot of cortisol, which is the primary stress hormone. So over time, using alcohol constantly creates an exposure to dysregulate your stress response. And your body becomes less able to handle those stressful situations, and you may end up needing alcohol again to feel calm and to feel back again into baseline. But alcohol itself is making your stress system more fragile. So it's like using alcohol as a crutch. And this is why so many people in the early recovery stages, they feel more anxious and they feel like with more emotions than they did before drinking. And your stress response or your stress response system has been disrupted, and it needs time to recalibrate. So if you've noticed, there are the last two things that I've mentioned, the neurotransmitters and the stress response, both of them require time to recalibrate. So that's why we think and that it's so important and that you give yourself the grace and the time. And it's not like, oh, I did it 2 days and I was not able to handle it. Give yourself the opportunity to go the 30 days or longer if you need to, and you feel a genuine change within your body. And there's good news. And that's what I really want you to focus on, because I know it seems so tough. And research shows that with a sustained abstinence for a longer period of time, your brain starts to heal. And your natural stress response starts to become resilient and returns to the baseline. But it takes time. It can take weeks or even months, and it's not just in days. And I want you to understand that, because I know that it's difficult, and I know that in 2026, and we are part of this movement where we want everything now, and we want the information now. And it's great. It's great that we want to have all this information and be able to hit the ground running, but it's also important to give yourself the time to rest, adjust, and recalibrate. So let's talk about something that most people really don't know, and it's that alcohol profoundly disrupts your gut and your gut microbiome, which is a topic that is very interesting nowadays. And I think it's very important to know. A lot of people say that your gut is your second brain. And we have trillions of bacteria in our gut, in our digestive system, that influence everything within our body. That it could go from immune system and immune function to the mood regulation. So using alcohol constantly actually creates or reduce the diversity of bacteria that you have in your gut, and it increases an inflammatory response. And this is why a lot of people feel puffy after drinking, and it's because it actually inflames your body, your face, your body, your gut. And it also damages the integrity of your gut wall. And this is what researchers call the intestinal permeability, or more commonly known, leaky gut. And when your gut wall becomes permeable, bacteria and toxins can leak into your bloodstream and can trigger a lot of inflammation. And this inflammation affects not only your body, but your brain, your mood, your energy, really everything, if we think about it. And why does this matter so much for recovery? Because your gut begins to heal during the first weeks of abstinence. And you will experience a lot of improvements that seem not to be related with alcohol. So you will feel a better digestion, you will feel more stable in energy, you will have an improved mood, and even a clearer thinking. And sometimes it's not easy to connect all this improvements with just one move, but actually it really is. So your gut and your brain are intertwined. They're in constant communication. And when you heal one, you support the healing of another one. And I think it's so important that you understand that we are intertwined. Our systems are completely intertwined. So kickstarting one change will kickstart not only one system, but all of your body. And now let's walk through what actually happens when you say, okay, I'm not going to drink, and what happens within your body day to day during the first month of alcohol, no alcohol consumption. So I'm going to be honest about the situations, and some parts may feel hard, but there's also a lot of parts that you can get excited about. And because all of those parts, even the ones that feel tough, they really mean that you are healing. because both of them are very real. We are in a world where we have the two ends of the spectrum. So it's really important that you know. So the days 1, 2, 3, there is the storm before the calm. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And I think it's very important that you know that the first 72 hours can feel brutal. And what's happening to your brain, it's like a perfect storm. So remember what we talked about the GABA and also the glutamate. So it is an imbalance. Alcohol consumption has created an imbalance, and it is at its peak right now. Your brain is experiencing everything all at once. It is loud, it is too bright, it is too intense. And you might experience trembling hands. You might experience also a little bit of anxiety. You might experience even insomnia or racing thoughts. And these are all symptoms that you were kind of numbing out and everything comes rushing right then and there. You can also experience sweating or an increase of your heartbeat. And one study shows that the withdrawal symptoms are very severe upon starting the study and typically subside or decrease during the first week. And this is very important. Give yourself a week. That's the most important thing. Give yourself the week. Sit with those feelings and with that discomfort, and knowing that you will have that discomfort can give you the possibility of, okay, I'm having this, I'm experiencing this, but after the week, after the 30 days, these symptoms will decrease. And let's talk about what's happening psychologically. So this is when reality really hits and you removed the primary coping mechanism. And that thing that used to calm you down is no longer there. It really is gone. You use the alcohol to celebrate or to numb difficult feelings. It's no longer there. So from a psychological perspective, you've lost what a lot of people would use as a coping strategy or a tool. And it's important to know that you will be dealing with grief-like symptoms, because you used to use this substance that no longer is there. So you are grieving that absence, really. And this is why it's so important to know that you may be feeling that everything is falling apart. But falling apart is also synonym of making space to build something more authentic to you. And now I want you to take notes, and it's how to support yourself through this all. It's very important that you hydrate obsessively, and because your body is detoxifying. You also need to rest without guilt. So your nervous system is doing a lot right now. It's doing a lot of work. Don't expect productivity out of you. And this is not the week to reorganize your whole life. This is the week to rest. And it's also important that you can have these symptoms, but activate the network of support so people can be there for you and communicate and reach for connection in this first week. Then you have days 4 to 7, which is where the fog begins to lift. And by day 4 or 5, something really shifts, and that acute crisis begins to ease a little bit. And your GABA and your glutamate start to recalibrate a little bit, and your inflammatory system starts to or your inflammation starts to decrease, and your nervous system begins to find a new baseline. And a lot of studies show that the healing has begun with just 1 week. And they can detect that there is a structural recovery for you, especially in particular areas that are responsible for executive function and the emotional regulation. So you might notice that sleep can be disrupted a little bit, but you're starting to have longer periods or stretches of rest. You may notice that anxiety is still present, but it's not that constant roar that you used to have. And that the physical symptoms like shakiness or sweating are decreasing. And you might also have moments of brief but real moments of like enjoying and feeling okay. And maybe your appetite is returning and your gut is already healing. So there's something really remarkable that just within days of stopping alcohol consumption, your gut microbiome starts to recover. So the diversity of the beneficial bacteria starts to increase in a way. And markers of the intestinal permeability or that leaky gut show a starting of improvement. And this matters because your gut healing means less inflammation and it decreases throughout your entire body, not just your gut. So it affects your mood, it affects your mental clarity, and it affects all the other symptoms that you've been having. So, how to support yourself through this situation? The first thing is begin to introduce gentle movement. And this could be walks and stretching and anything that really feels good for you. You can start eating foods that nourish you, and we sometimes call it the grandpa diet, which is find foods, whole foods that are nutritional and that benefit you like overall. And your body at the beginning of the process can be depleted of nutrients, so you are rebuilding those nutrients. And it's important that you notice those small wins as well. It's like, oh, I slept for a couple of hours straight, and that is a victory. And it's very, very important that you are patient with your brain, with yourself, and you give yourself time. And concentration and memory are still recovering. Then by day 8 to 14, you have a return of your thinking brain. So this often is where when people feel that, oh, I'm like myself again. I'm coming back to myself. And what is happening here is that your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain that is responsible for the decision making, the planning, and the self-control, is coming back online. And there is also a study that shows that gray matter volume begins to increase in the very crucial parts of your brain, which is the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex and the insula, which is very important to know because your alcohol consumption can started to decrease certain areas of your brain or the production of gray matter or white matter. So by days 8 to 14, you start seeing a change. And abstinence allows you to repair those parts of your brain. And you might notice some changes that you can focus for longer periods of time. Or that concentrating doesn't feel so overwhelming and that you are starting to make plans again. And also you can notice that you're sleeping more and you feel that you have fewer wake-ups during the night and you have better quality of sleep. Also, you're feeling that your mood stabilizes and that your dopamine starts to rebuild. And when I'm saying about the dopamine is that before you used to have the dopamine through an external factor, which was alcohol. And our alcohol artificially floods your brain with dopamine. And in early abstinence, your natural dopamine production is very low. So everything can feel flat or joyless. But by week 2, your dopamine production starts to regulate again and it starts to recalibrate. So activities that gave you pleasure before, for example, music or connection or going out of nature, can start to feel rewarding again. And this is a very important question, is how to support yourself. It's important that you reintroduce activities that used to give you joy. And your brain needs that evidence, really. And the evidence is that you can find joy without alcohol. It can be connecting with others, because isolation can intensify the flatness feeling. And even the small social interactions help. So paying someone a compliment or having a talk with a friend for a few minutes. Your brain is healing and documenting all of these changes. So it's important that you give your brain all the information to succeed. Then by day 15 to 21, you have your mood stabilization and the emotional regulation. So by week 3, the emotional volatility begins to recover and begins to become less intense. And in other words, your mood starts to settle a little bit. And what really is happening to your brain is that your serotonin system, which is the brain's neurotransmitter that regulates your mood, your sleep, your appetite, is stabilizing again. And it shows a significant decrease of symptoms like anxiety. And this could be because there is no depression-like feeling when you consume alcohol, so you can handle those emotions later on. And your amygdala, which is your brain's alarm system, is becoming less hyperreactive. So when you're constantly drinking alcohol and you don't understand those emotions and you're numbing them out, any tiny little emotion can feel like a threat. But if you're not drinking alcohol and you are sitting with that emotion, understanding that emotion can actually help you understand, and you become less reactive whenever you feel something because you know how to deal with it. And what this really means is that when situations that before used to feel triggering, now you have the emotional tools or the headspace to make the responses a little bit more manageable. And what you might notice is that you're not swinging between emotional extremes, and that anxiety, while still is present a little bit, it is less consuming. And you are starting to feel that you can handle the feelings without numbing them. And also, sleep quality is better and continues to improve, and you have energy that lasts throughout the day. And who doesn't want that, really? And from a psychological standpoint, it's very important that this is the moment when you gotta work deeper into this situation. And it's because all of that background noise of the withdrawal is subsiding a little bit, and the underlying reasons of why you drank are starting to surface again. And this is when therapy, journaling, meditation, movement become so essential, and that's what we stand for in unconscious moderation. Because alcohol wasn't the problem at the beginning, and that's very important for you to know. And you used alcohol, and a lot of people use alcohol as a solution to a problem. And you used it as a tool. And when the tool is gone, and there's still an underlying thing, you find that problem and you find the original situation that led you to the tool and that tool being alcohol. So it helps you understand what lies beneath. You become part of the true self, which is the essence of who you actually are, and who you are beneath all of the coping mechanisms and all the crutches that you used to use, that it may be alcohol. And now there's a big question of like, okay, how do I support myself in this situation where symptoms have subsided? I've managed my symptoms, I hydrated, moved, connected and everything. How do I handle within? So the first thing is to get curious about your emotions. And this is to get curious instead of being afraid. And what is this feeling trying to tell me is a very important question that you can ask yourself. So when you practice sitting with the discomfort, and this could be just for 60 seconds, instead of trying to escape it, you notice a lot of changes and a lot of like little things that are that really is information for you. And you start to connect the dots. And you can say, I want to drink right now, but what am I actually feeling? What do I actually need? What is my body trying to tell me? Then we have days 22 to 30. So you made it. You made the last stretch of the month. And this is where you have a measurable change and a measurable transformation. By the end of 1 month, 30 days without drinking, the changes are no longer just subjective, they are measurable within your blood, your brain, your body. So what is happening in your cardiovascular system is very important. Research shows that short-term abstinence, so just 30 days, even for moderate drinkers, show a significant improvement. So the resting heart rate lowers or decreases, which indicates an improvement of the cardiovascular efficiency overall. The blood pressure normalizes. The inflammatory markers decrease, and a study shows that people that did a sober month, so 30 days without drinking, found an 11% decrease of the neutrophils and 9% increase of the lymphocytes. So what that means is you have a decrease of inflammation and an increase of your immune system. And the lower ratio is linked to a reduced risk of all-cause mortality. So it can help you with heart disease, respiratory illness, and kidney disease. So 30 days can help you change your lifestyle, and it can help you change your health. And what is happening to your brain? It shows, different neuroimaging shows that there is a remarkable structural recovery within your brain. And there's very important like little things going on within your brain. So white matter volume increases in your frontal and temporal lobe. And there's an integrity improvement overall in your brain. Your cognitive functions like attention, working memory, processing speed, everything improves and you can measure it. And many alcohol-related cognitive impairments decrease. And sometimes these impairments could felt like very permanent. They can become actually reversible with a sustained abstinence. So you may notice that by day 30, your skin looks clearer, that you are more hydrated, that your eyes are brighter, that your puffiness that you thought it was very persistent stops, and that your sleep is recovered and you can sleep through the night. And then you wake up feeling rested, and maybe that you're a little bit sharper, more energized, or you have energy that lasts throughout your day. And most importantly, you feel proud about yourself, that in a way that you haven't felt in a long time. You proved to yourself that you could do 30 days without the crutch, without alcohol. And that's the biggest change of it all. And it's also a psychological milestone, really, because you've proven to yourself that you can do hard things, that you survived a month that you thought could destroy you, that you discovered the feelings that felt very intense, and now they feel very manageable, and that you could survive feeling your feelings. And it's not just about alcohol anymore. It is about the self-trust, and it's about recognizing your own resilience. And that is the biggest change of them all. So now it's important to get a little bit practical. And how do I actually do this? How do I navigate 30 days in a way that it's manageable and that I can navigate the difficulty and start the healing? So the first thing is know your timeline. So understand what's happening in those 30 days is crucial. Understand your body and what's happening so you can have the goal. You can see it after those 30 days. The second strategy would be support your biology. So your body is doing something incredible. Help it. So first of all, hydrate. Drink more water than you possibly needed or think you needed. Alcohol is dehydrating and your body's detoxifying, so you need to stay hydrated, and that supports your cellular process. Then nutrition. Eat real, nourishing food. So prioritize protein, prioritize complex carbs, healthy fats, and all the vitamins. So you could do omega-3s, vitamin D. You can also prioritize your sleep. So create sleep hygiene, which even though sleep might be disrupted, you can create conditions that support your health and support that sleep. So it could be a dark room, a cool temperature, no screens before bed, stay consistent. It's important also to move. Move your body. Even gentle exercise can help you. It could be yoga, it could be walking, it could be stretching, it could be legs up the wall. It regulates your nervous system. And don't push hard. Just move. Understand and read your body. A third strategy would be regulate your nervous system. So remember that your stress response is out of whack and it's dysregulated. So you need to actively calm your nervous system throughout the day. So it can be with breathing exercises, which is box breathing, or it could be with box breathing is 4 seconds inhale, 4 seconds holding, 4 seconds exhale, 4 seconds holding. That's box breathing, and that can help deeply. Or it could be 3 3 movement breathing, which is you breathe in with your stomach, your chest, and your upper chest, and then letting go. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, and it can help you rest and digest, which is the mode that you want to be in. You can also prove the progressive muscle relaxation. So focus on one set of muscles at a time, and just like hold them together really, really hard and really, really like strongly, and then let it go. That is progressive muscle relaxation. It can help you. You can also use grounding techniques. So it could be the five senses technique that we've talked about. So it's notice 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can hear, 3 things that you can touch, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. That's a grounding technique. The 4th strategy would be journal. We believe in that so much here in Unconscious Moderation. Documenting your journey, it's very, very important. It helps you understand, it helps you observe, it helps you understand the full process and not be consumed by it. And it can track your progress, and you can go back and think like, oh wow, I was struggling with this a couple of days ago and I found a solution, and maybe I was just too close to the problem to see a solution right then and there. And you can have journaling prompts that can help you understand your process. The 5th strategy would be reframe the discomfort. So instead of seeing discomfort as something wrong, you see it as evidence that heal what is happening. And it's, my anxiety is intense right now. It can become, my nervous system is recalibrating. Or you can think, oh, I'm feeling emotionally raw. You can reframe it into, I'm feeling the feelings that I've numbed for years, and this is growth. The reframing of discomfort is understanding that discomfort is not failure, it is transformation. The 6th strategy would be find your people. You don't have to do this alone. Isolation makes everything so much harder. So finding a group of people, a community that can help you work through this. It could be your trusted friends. It could be a community like Unconscious Moderation. It's being around calm, supportive people that help you regulate your nervous system. And that's something that we think is very, very important. Connection is something that we seek as human beings. So connect with people throughout the process. And then we also have another strategy would be practice self-compassion. I think it's so important nowadays. We have this internal critic that comes into our head and tells us that everything's wrong and catastrophizes everything. So you might have moments when you think that you want to drink, and you might even think that that's the solution. And maybe if you give yourself the grace and don't go into that shame spiral, but understand that shame keeps you stuck and that compassion creates the space to learn, that is the most important thing. And that's one of the most valuable strategies that you have in your hand or in your tool belt during this 30 days. So now that I've described all of this strategies, I want to tell you about unconscious moderation, because we really do believe that we give you the tools to understand what's going on. So if everything that we've discussed today sounded a little bit familiar, and it could be the neuroscience of the withdrawal or the psychological wounds behind the transformation, or that drive your drinking, really. This is what Unconscious Moderation app is here to help you navigate. So we understand that you can understand intellectually to stop drinking is what you want. But you can understand all of the science, you can have all of the back-end information, you can have all of the strategies, but unconsciously your mind still believes alcohol is your primary coping mechanism, and it associates alcohol with calmness. And remember that 95% of your behavior can be unconscious and can be the unconscious processes. So your unconscious mind is leading the show. So understanding your unconscious mind can be a game changer for dry January. And this is why hypnotherapy is so powerful, because it directly speaks to the unconscious mind. And it's updating those deep internal beliefs and those associations that keep you trapped in behaviors that you want to change. So that's the first main pillar of unconscious moderation, which is hypnotherapy. We are rewiring the unconscious patterns that can keep you stuck. And it's guided hypnotherapy sessions through the unconscious moderation app that release the associations that you have around alcohol so you can change and reframe those associations. Then the second pillar would be journaling, which we mentioned as well, which the unconscious moderation app gives you prompts so you can explore your relationship with alcohol and you can re-signify it. So the unconscious mind sometimes, and most of the time, doesn't speak regular English. It speaks through signs, it speaks through dreams. And when you journal, you can understand that unconscious mind. And this isn't just about reflection, it's about actively exploring your unconscious mind. And you bring to light those hidden patterns so you create awareness and they no longer control you really. And then the last pillar would be movement, which we support your nervous system through movement that help you release the stress, regulate your nervous system, and supports your physical health, which overall, that's what we want, right? Even 5 minutes of intentional movement to your body can change your whole day. And through the Unconscious Moderation app, we have a 90-day program. Let's start with the first month, no drinking. And that's why we want to start this dry January, how in a way that you not only stop drinking alcohol, but start using and developing those coping mechanisms that help you throughout life. So the second month, you can choose moderation if you want to. And then the third month could be practicing all that you've learned so far. The app is available on the Apple Store and Google Play Store. And if you're ready to understand the deeper patterns that drive your drinking and transform them from the inside out, you are not alone in this. And here you have a community. Your body is extraordinary. And right now, in this moment, it is ready to heal in ways that will surprise you. And the first 30 days aren't easy. We've walked through this. But after those 30 days, you understand that you have all the tools and you can develop all the tools to help you throughout this process and throughout this journey. And here's what matters the most. You don't have to be perfect at this. You just have to understand that you're figuring this out. You just have to start one day at a time. That's all you need. And one day at a time, one choice at a time, one moment of honoring yourself at a time. And some days this may feel a little bit impossible. And there are days that it's going to be a little bit more easy. Remember that your body is doing a lot of things behind the scene. And your brain is rewiring, your gut is healing, your nervous system is recalibrating. And that's all that matters. You are not the same person that you were yesterday. You are transforming every single day. Remember that transformation doesn't require perfection. It just requires awareness. And if what we talked about today clicked for you in any way, and you're noticing that your relationship with alcohol needs a change, and you need to change your drinking patterns and create a shift, the Unconscious Moderation app is here for you to support you throughout this process. We help you rewire those unconscious patterns, transform your perspective, and create a lasting change from the inside out. Stay conscious and stay free.